Ladies and gentlemen, we have just wrapped up another great week of fantastic NFL action. And honestly, it's been outshadowed by a few headlines that I really want to get into. One being the disapproval by Steelers fans of Mike Tomlin. And of course, the Lane Kiffin drama that's been going around. And also, Falcons have become a complete laughing stock in NFL. I hate to say it. We'll talk about all that maybe in a little bit more. But first things first, this is another great episode of Oh Brother the Podcast. And I'm, of course, your host, Coop. And I want to get right to it, man, and talk about this Lane Kiffin situation. I see a lot of people that's been commenting on it, and I kind of want to give my take on it as well. Granted, if you don't know who Lane Kiffin is, Lane Kiffin's been, and he's the son of a former college coach, and he's had coaching in his blood ever since he's probably, left college and trying to assess his career. He wanted to coach, and that's what he's going to be a lifelong coach, football coach, and probably a damn good one. He's one of those brilliant offensive minds that we see in the game today, and he's showed that throughout just about every tenure that he's had moving forward. Let me just piggyback and give you a little history on Lane Kiffin. He came up, got his first real shot at UFC from 01 to 06. He moved up in the ranks on the offensive side from tight end coach to offensive coordinator. Then he became the Raiders head coach, which was a horrible tenure at that. Raiders probably weren't ready for a first-time head coach at the time, and plus, if I remember correctly, they were, a few years removed from the Super Bowl, a lot of roster turnover. They were kind of really bad, and they expected Lane to come turn that around, and then he just didn't have the prowess to do that. So, then, he gets a role at, Tennessee, brings them to their first winning record in years, bounces from there, goes to USC, tries to be the savior of that school after Pete Carroll jumps ship and goes to Seattle and coaches them up to a Super Bowl after those great years with Leinart and Reggie Bush. He comes in after that and tries to keep the success going with USC. He did for the most part, but the defense was absolutely horrible. And he had to fire his father, who was the defensive coordinator at the time. And then that didn't work. It wasn't good enough. It still wasn't good enough. They ended up cutting him. And then they had that whole situation where he gets fired on the tarmac coming home from the away game, right? Then he gets a shot at Alabama. Nick Saban brings him in to be the offensive coordinator for a few years. That worked out pretty well. And then once he had success there as an OC, he was, Alabama was, of course, in the national championship, playoffs. He was too busy flirting with FAU, becoming their new head coach. And so Nick Saban just let him go. It seems like just so he could focus on becoming the new head coach. Some of the struggles that we're seeing now with the calendar of college football, and I'm going to get to that in a second. Just going to give you some more background on Lane Kiffin here. Builds up FAU to a decent program. Then he gets a shot at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is probably one of the bottom feeder teams in the SEC. They were looking for somebody to come give them a boost. He was absolutely excellent there, gave them multiple 10-win seasons, and their best season to date, which they're now ranked in the top 10 and going into the college football playoff for the first time. And they have a legitimate shot to win it all as national champion. So, the prowess of Lane Kiffin is good. He's shown that he can come in and rebuild and turn around a program quickly. And Ole Miss just wasn't the school that he wanted to plant his flag at for the final time. He's kind of been bouncing around trying to find the best ultimate position of head coach throughout the ranks of college football. And that's just been, as you can see from the way he's moved throughout his career, that's been his MO. Doesn't stay at one place for too long, whether it's his decision or not. Subsequently, you had a college reporter for Ole Miss write up an article in the school newspaper and called him a hoe. I think his statement was, "You can't turn a hoe into a housewife," which, granted, was fair criticism considering his history that I just reviewed for you. He confronted him and there was a whole debacle about that, and, the state troopers behind, and then turned around not only hours later just to prove his point that he was going to LSU. LSU is the premier job in the premier conference. Before Nick Saban got to Alabama and made it what it was, LSU is still the premier school in the premier conference. There's some pristine jobs all throughout college football, but LSU is probably top 3, if not one or two. And I believe that Nick Saban felt that his path to a college national championship was easier with the backing and the funding now of a school and a prestigiousness of an LSU and a funding of an LSU compared to an Ole Miss, Mississippi State and Arkansas, other bottom feeder teams in the SEC. But my grief doesn't come with Lane Kiffin or all the criticism that he's even taken, because he's doing what's best, what he thought is for his career and for his family. So I can't deny him with that. My criticism is with the calendar and how it's set up, and it's forcing these people to make life-changing decisions while also turning their back on the people they valued and devoted to. Lane Kiffin built up and entrusted in those players and coaches, and they had a legitimate shot to win the national championship this year. Although to turn his back to take a better position. But he tried to stay and coach and help get them to that national championship, but you've already accepted a position elsewhere. Go ahead and lead your men over at that school. Which I understand from the AD's perspective. It would just be weird for them to try to make that work throughout the college football playoff. And then you have the portal opening up before the national championship game is even played, because guys have to get transferred and get enrolled in schools, because by the time the second week of January rolls around, the third week of January rolls around, when the now college football national championship is played now because of the playoff games, some schools are already started classes. So we still have to take in account the student athlete aspect of this whole situation in the calendar and try to make it work with coaching decisions, portal aspects, because now that Mississippi guys get a chance to evaluate their next steps because of a coach leaving or a new coach coming in, and vice versa with the guys at LSU. But it doesn't make sense, because even if you play the NCAA game, if you decide to switch schools on your dynasty mode, you still are able to coach your team through the national championship, but you're offered contracts before it even starts. So obviously there's a conflict of interest there. There's just poor timing. And then when people ultimately make these decisions like Lane Kiffin did, you see the hatred and the turmoil and the whole backlash to it, because he ultimately committed to these kids here at Ole Miss and built up this program to where they're about to reach the pinnacle of success. And then before it even gets started, he's dropping out and running to a school. The aspects of it does look bad, but I'm not mad at him or LSU for doing what they have to do for what they seem is right for their programs, their families, their students, so on and so forth. Ole Miss, I do feel bad for you, because it seems like as a coach or as a regular citizen, as a guy, I like to compare it to as fumbling a baddie. We all had a bad chick in our life that we thought we knew we couldn't never get, but we ended up getting them somehow, some way. And then they move on to the next bigger, better baller or guy that comes around. I'm going to go into detail about that analogy in just a second. But for those who are mad at the route that Lane Kiffin has taken to get to this point, let me put it to you in this analogy. So no one ever gets mad at people who climb the corporate ladder. Nobody ever gets mad at people who work their way up from the bottom. I mean, I'm talking about from low-level accountant to CFO, and then from janitor to CEO or stuff like that in the corporate world. So why are we getting mad for a man who wants to reach the mountaintop of coaching? And he just received that offer from LA. Granted, he has built something special with Ole Miss and has brought them to heights they have never reached before. And if he would have stayed and got paid and still recruited well and did well, they would have built a statue in his name, and he would have never had to pay for a drink ever in Oxford, Mississippi. Understandable, but it is Mississippi at the end of the day. Although, and Mississippi, poor state in the union, LSU is still down there too as well. But their pockets are just a little bit deeper when it comes to funding this football program. And they take a little more pride in acquiring the talent, the coaching, and the promotion that takes to build a successful football program in the best conference in college football. So back to my analogy. If he gets hired like he did, let's go back to his days as a coach at USC. ground floor. He's an accountant, works his way up to lead accountant or whatever you. Takes a chance and a leap of faith and tries to go to the big leads. He goes to a big Fortune 500 as a lead accountant. Doesn't work out well, so where? They end up firing. Okay, let's take a step back, regroup, find another job. Lower level position, work my way back up, transfer companies, same position, laterally. They seem to be an up and coming company, maybe. Work my way up there, help build them up, and probably bring them out of the red, maybe with your ideas and some accounting issues. Now Apple's calling. Now Microsoft is calling. Now the big Fortune 500, now Amazon's calling. The big companies are calling because they think that your talent and your success can help elevate them to the next level. That's LSU calling Lane Kiffin. That's him signing a deal. Now let me put it to you from this perspective, because I know Ole Miss, you guys you're a little up in arms, and I can understand it considering you've just had the best 6 years of your life and you don't think that you don't know if you'll ever get that success again because you've never seen it before. But also you have to enjoy the time that you had. And it's still not over. You still have a shot to win it all and to solidify the success that Lane Kiffin brought to you. So let me put it to you this way. Like I was talking about before with the baddies. As guys, man, we know who is and who is not in our league for the most part. Men sometimes can be delusional. I get that. But you've seen women that you know, she's not going to give me the time or the day because I just know that the guys in her league are a lot more wealthier, taller, better hairline, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that she's into, they probably have more of that than you. We get that. But somehow, some way, maybe you catch a baddie coming out of an abusive relationship, down on her luck, in between sugar daddies or whatever. That was Lane Kiffin coming from FAU to Ole Miss. And so now you got the baddie. Now you got to keep her. You've kept her. 6 years, it's been good. It's probably been the 6 best years of your life. Y'all taking pictures and going on vacation. Everybody, telling you, hey, we're gonna see you, bro. Hey, yeah, good job, hey. You're just living life in La La Land, not knowing that this baddie is plotting her exit the entire time. It just so happens that you was a good enough dude to keep her happy and entertained for 6 long years. But the right ball player, the right rapper, musician, or whatever, somebody with a little deeper pocket, better hairline, a little taller, maybe a little better in bed, or what have you, or a combination of a lot of things. It happens to the best of us, man. And sometimes they go. You fumble them, and then they go. It's not even the fact that you fumble. They're baddies, man. And you know what? One thing that bad bitches are going to do? They're going to choose. And that's exactly what Lane Kiffin did today. He chose. He chose to go to the next biggest thing. Just like when your baddie goes off, she found her rapper or baller or financial manager or whatever, big pocket guy. And now she's living her dream with her baddie. Quote unquote. And so now if you're Ole Miss, you're sitting there, you're looking back, you're like, damn, she just did me dirty. I can't believe this. I thought it was going to go all the way, this, that, and the third. Not quite. And if you're Ole Miss and your fans, you just have to sit, reminisce, scroll through your pictures, your videos, look at all the vacation photos when you're having a bad day or whatever, and just enjoy the time that you had with your baddie. It was just your season with her. And eventually you got to move on, get back to what you're used to, which is, your sixes and your sevens, maybe your fives on occasionally when you're down bad. Look where you came from though. You used to twos and threes, and you got the experience of a 9 and a 10. Now that you got the experience of your 9 and 10, them 6 and 7s come a lot easier when you put it all together. I hope that analogy settles with some guys because it does. I mean, it might hit hard a little hard home because we all have been there, man. We got a girl that we never thought we could get, and then now, she leaves you for somebody else or whatever, or you just do something stupid and it is what it is, man. Bad bitches choose. Lane Kiffin, in terms of coaching, the baddest bitch out there. I'm just saying. All right, moving forward. I want to pivot to NFL. Moving on, man. I want to come talk to you Pittsburgh Steelers fans because you spoiled brats were yelling fire Mike Tomlin this week. Are you kidding me? The man that never had a losing season as a head coach with your organization, you want gone? That's the guy that you want gone. Holy stupid ignoramus. You deserve lashes with a spiked belt. Are you kidding me? Your last losing season, when I looked it up, I couldn't fucking believe it. It was 2003. That was the last season pre-Ben Roethlisberger. They haven't had a losing season since Ben Roethlisberger, before Ben Roethlisberger. And the last losing season before that was 99. And guess what they were? 6-10 again. Not even truly losing. You're 2 games under. Are you guys kidding me? Your beef is with Mike Tomlin and not the general manager who has provided a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers and told him to go get it done? Brought in an ailing Jalen Ramsey who was getting beat so bad this year they had to move his bum ass to safety. You brought in Arthur Smith who runs this generic, dry, run-first offense. You pay DK Metcalf $30 million a year and he runs 3 routes. But you want to fire Mike Tomlin. Are you out of your freaking minds? Do you know how many organizations and and teams that will want a coach like Mike Tomlin? There's teams that haven't even seen a 500 season in the past 5 years, a la the Browns, Jets, Houston back in the day when they was incepted, Jacksonville before Trevor Lawrence. Are you kidding me? But we want to fire Mike Tomlin because we're tired of being 8-8, 9-8, and floating around 500. You know how hard it is to win ball games in the NFL? And all he's done is do that year in and year out? Mike Tomlin is the only coach in the NFL that is expected to do more with less. And you fans want to fire him. You know who the fuck I root for? You know what team I watch every damn Sunday? Out of your damn minds. Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Guess what? You're my old brother of the week. Oh, brother, you stink. Get him the hell out of here. Shitty ass fan. Are you kidding me? You had a winning season losing season since 2003. You know what the fuck I was doing in 2003? In freaking 3rd grade, 4th grade, getting my A's and B's, man. What's wrong with y'all? Roethlisberger. You spoiled fucking franchise fans. Sitting out there in the cold, ain't watching your team lose. Spoiled. Okay, fire him. Let's see who you got. Who you gonna bring in? You gonna bring in a first-time coach? You gonna elevate Arthur Smith bum ass? Because he got head coaching experience with Atlanta? You gonna go get some hot shot coordinator? You gonna try to give, what's his name in San Francisco, their defensive coordinator another shot? Who else you gonna bring in? Who you gonna bring in? That's what I would like to see. Because if not Mike Tomlin, who? I don't see any other candidates of his caliber out there. There's a reason why he's one of the most well-compensated coaches in the league. Because he is one of the best coaches in the league. And y'all want him gone because you're tired of floating around mediocrity. Fire the damn GM who brought in that mediocre-ass talent. Kidding me, fire Mike Tomlin. Fire the damn fans for yelling that bullshit. Moving on. Great games this week. I'm sorry, I need to calm down. Cowboys ended up beating the Chiefs. Chiefs might be cooked rice. Just saying. When they thought the Chiefs were falling off their GM, what did they do? They brought in Kareem Hunt, Juju Smith-Schuster. Somebody at least help. The semblance of help they draft Rashee Rice. Fix the offensive line because we got our ass whooped in the Super Bowl. Get some help in the secondary. Re-sign Chris Jones. Like, they make moves to make the team better, not making a semblance of them making it better, like they're doing in Pittsburgh. Bringing in old, tired veterans and expecting to do more than what they did in their prime. Pissed off at you guys. The Bears keep winning. Ravens are cooked because they just lost to the Bengals. And the Packers keep surprising me for whatever reason. Back and forth, beating a good team, losing it against a bad team. What are we, Packers? Are we a good team or not? I don't think so. Prove me wrong. I feel sorry for that 3rd-string QB that they brought in Minnesota this week. That was a complete disaster. And he couldn't have performed any worse. But goddamn it, J.J. McCarthy is trash too. And I don't know if it would have looked any much better if he was out there. They have fumbled this quarterback situation horribly, considering you had Sam Darnold, who was an MVP candidate to start this season, who won 14 games for you last year, but you didn't want to pay him $100 million, which was right in line with what Baker Mayfield is making. And he's winning his division every year. So why not bring back Sam Darnold at least on a 2-year team option something until your franchise guy develops? Huh? Wouldn't that be smart? But instead, you want to save money and not spend it nowhere else, so you pay Carson Wentz to come back him up. Bum. I've never seen a guy live on the hype of an almost MVP season more than Carson Wentz. Bum. You finally throw J.J. McCarthy to the Wolves. He ain't ready. Bum. So what will we do now? We bring in a third string guy. He can't even complete a damn pass to Justin Jefferson before positive yards. Damn, you should have just went and got Joe Flacco this offseason for all that shit. I mean, I manage franchises on Madden better than some of these guys. Just to think that on paper that you thought that this was injuries happen. You know, players don't work out. There's no backup plan. You had Sam Darnold in the building. You had Daniel Jones in the building. And these guys are thriving. But yet you want to throw this third string bum because he had a late drive in a preseason game? Oh, Minnesota. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Wasting a prime season of Justin Jefferson like that for this product that they're putting out on the field. In one of the toughest divisions in football like that. You don't have time to waste. Now with the elevation of the Bears and Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, they're now on top of this division where you were last year. And you still couldn't get it done week 18 against the Lions. Now look at you. You're losing. Oh, brother. Bums. And I'm going to Commanders game Sunday night. Shout out my boy Flock, man. Free tickets in the suite level. It was best time I've ever had at a football game, considering the perks. But it was cold as I don't know what out there. It was close to freezing, and we didn't make it to overtime. Shit, we barely made it to the 2-minute warning. I'm not gonna hold you. We ended up following the game on the way to the car via the ESPN app. You know how you do. Watched overtime at my crib. We were sitting in the 300 sections right on the corner of the end zone where Treylon Burks caught that nasty one-handed catch in the corner end zone. I mean, nasty. The whole section stood up in unison. It was disgusting. One of the best plays I've ever seen live. Shout out to Treylon Burks. If you remember, Treylon Burks was the receiver that was drafted to replace A.J. Brown in Tennessee after they traded him to Philadelphia. You see how that worked out. They ended up cutting him a few years later due to injuries and, of course, lack of production. Getting a second chance here in Washington and is thriving as a jump ball receiver here in the red zone. Fantastic catch. That catch alone might get him a contract for next season. Mariota and those boys put up a crazy fight because I honestly expected that game to be over at halftime. I wanted to be in my bed, and honestly, by the start of the fourth quarter. But Mariota, Cliff Kingsbury drew up some great plays. Although he had some questionable calls there in the red zone in the third and fourth quarter, but when it was go time down and to get down and forever, and you had to have it, they got it. And I was thoroughly impressed with the run game, what semblance of it, what the Commanders had against this tough Broncos defense. But Nick Bonino shows you why he's an all-pro and made the play that saved the game for the Broncos on the 2-point conversion. This Denver team is for real with Sean Payton. And we knew that they was just a quarterback and a coach away from being an excellent team. Before Sean Payton got there, this defense was decent. It was really good. It was similar to what Cleveland was doing. Defensive side of the ball was excellent. We just cannot get any offense going. Bring in Sean Payton, bring in Bo Nix. 10 wins in a row now for Denver. And sky's the limit right now, considering the parity in the NFL this year. We don't know who's good and who's great. Comment down below who you think is going to win, get to the Super Bowl. Because at this point, it's a coin flip with any of the playoff teams. You guys let me know. A like and a comment and a subscribe. I'm sorry I got a little tempered and angry today. But that seems the way that people like to see me. So I might be coming from that point of view a lot more. We don't know. I'll see you next time on OHHH Brother the Podcast. Peace.